This topic is called solving a quadratic equation using the square root property. We want decimal answers, and it's a little bit more advanced. So for this problem, we want to have what is squared all by itself. And in this case, we have x plus 6 squared, and we want that by itself. So we're going to add 80 to both sides. And we're left with quantity x plus 6 squared equals 80. At this point, we want to take the square root of both sides. So when we take the square root of 80, we need to include the plus or minus. When you take the square root of something squared, you get x plus 6. So x plus 6 equals plus or minus square root of 80. And then we need to subtract 6. And the way we write that is -6 plus or minus square root of 80. Now they want our answer as a decimal rounded to the nearest hundredth. So I'm going to type into my calculator a -6 plus the square root of 80 rounded to the nearest hundredth is 2.94. There's going to be a different answer with the minus 80. So we're going to do square root of 80. In the calculator, I'm going to type -6 minus the square root of 80, which is a -14.94, rounded to the nearest hundredth. Okay, so I'm going to do another one. We better do a third one. So in this case, it's saying that this quantity, y plus 4 squared, has to equal a -75. There's no real solution for that because we can't square something and get a negative. Okay, we need to divide by 2. So let's just do that really quick. We have x minus 5, quantity squared, equals 64 divided by 2, which is 32. Then we're going to take the square root of both sides, and don't forget we need plus or minus square root 32, and we're left with x minus 5 equals this plus or minus the square root of 32. So we're going to add 5 to both sides. So x equals 5 plus or minus square root of 32. That's two answers. I'm going to write it out as the two separate. I didn't do this in the first one, and I'm sorry. We're going to do that way. So the x equals 5 plus or minus square root of 32 also means these two solutions, 5 plus square root of 32 and 5 minus square root of 32. So 5 plus the square root of 32 rounded to the nearest tenth is 10.66. So 10 and 66 hundredths. And when we do 5 minus the square root of 32, we get a -66 hundredths. And that's the end of the lesson.